and I'm just gonna drag one knee down, put it on the ground. So the closer my knee is to the wall, the more intense the stretch is gonna be. So if you feel like your hips are fairly unflexible, start with your knee further away from the wall. So I got the foot on the wall and the knee is on the ground. I'm just gonna step up with my opposite leg here. And then if you're really inflexible, you might have to just stay here. But what you wanna do now is squeeze that glute of the knee on the ground and kind of push your hips forward. So if you have more flexibility, you'll be able to come up like this. And again, I'm gonna squeeze this glute of this knee that's on the ground and like push my hips forward. So I'm just gonna spread my legs as far as I can. I like to push myself on the ground to kind of create more stretch through my adductors and groin. And if you have tight hamstrings, you'll also feel it on the bottom of your legs and your hamstrings. Just a great stretch. I don't really wanna bend forward, but if you have to, due to your flexibility, that's totally fine. But you'll get a better stretch if you kind of keep your back straight and just kind of hinge. I'll do a lateral stretch from here. And this is great for your hip and side body, your obliques, TFL, those kinds of initial flexibility. To reach your foot, you'll have to do a different calf stretch, but I'll show that next. But I think this is the best calf stretch because I can fully relax my lower leg because I'm manipulating my foot to stretch my calf with my hands. So what I'll do is just grab the ball of my foot and I'm pulling my toes back toward my shin or towards me. And I'm just gonna hold it. And I really, really feel like a good calf stretch in that gastrocnemius through to, I'm getting to the ground, and I can feel that stretching my calf. So I'm just leaning forward into my toes, but still applying pressure into the ground with my heel. That's gonna give me a really good calf stretch. So again, just holding, and if you're inflexible and this feels really intense, you might only be able to go here. But again, whatever you can get, whatever range in your lower back from doing this. So I'm just gonna I'm keeping my other knee on the ground and I'm just keeping my back pretty straight, so I'm not bending forward, because I actually don't feel a stretch when I bend forward. So I want to keep my back straight as much as possible, and I'm just letting stretch is that my knee is in line with my heel here. Okay, so what that means is that my heel is not closer to me and my knee out further. Okay, because that is gonna misalign my muscles, so I'm not actually targeting my hip muscles here. So this bench kneeling pigeon stretch I really like. And again, my hips are tight right now, and I use my hands to like push that knee toward the wall. Okay, so if you're so tight that you can't put your lower back to the ground, you need to move further away from the wall. Okay, because that means your hips are just really tight. But that's okay, just don't hurt yourself, but make sure that your hips are on the ground and just go from there. And so you can one arm or two arms, whatever, but just extend and push the knee away, and you'll feel all these hip muscles and your glutes. But if you have more flexibility, get closer to the wall. And again, but you should be able to like lay this back on the ground and then push the knee away. So, to get my hamstrings. Okay, so if you're here and I'm just kneeling on this back leg, I'll like hinge back to like start feeling the stretch through this, and that totally works. But if you have lots of flexibility, again, you'll just kind of hinge. It's okay to do this, but I feel less stretch here because of how your hip muscles work. So I'm kind of keeping my back fairly straight, and I'm hinging and pushing my hips back to get that stretch. Don't worry about balancing. If you have some yoga blocks, or you like use a wall or use a couch or something like that, or a chair to balance on, you don't have to worry about balancing. But keep your hips fairly forward. Shouldn't be opening up that much. And again, I like to hinge instead of like roll. When I do this, I feel a decrease of stretch in my hamstring when I bend my lower back. So I keep it here and I feel way more of an intense stretch. And again, just depending on your flexibility, this is a great stretch. But again, look, don't hold my legs like this. I'm gonna weave my one leg toward my opposite hand under my other leg. Yeah, and then I'm gonna wrap my opposite hand around that top leg up behind the hamstring above the knee. And then I'm just gonna pull everything to the ground. And again, let gravity do the work. I'm not gonna force anything. So as I exhale and relax and breathe out, gravity will kind of like do the work as my muscles loosen. So I call this the bretzel. It's like a bro pretzel. Yeah, pretty awesome. These lower back stretches, because the lumbar muscles are very dense, so you don't want to snap in and out of things. Again, always doing the other side. So I just grab my opposite foot underneath my top leg and then wrap my opposite hand around my hamstring just above my knee. Again, letting gravity do the work. I'm kind of pulling back, you see, with this hand to kind of get that hip flexor or quad involved. And again, just take your time. I'm not forcing it. I'm letting gravity do the work. This sitting position, I'm just gonna fold one leg over here. And then I'm gonna reach behind me with that same arm and leg, and then put my opposite tricep on the top of my thigh near my knee. And I'm pushing my arm against my thigh to create this rotation. And I wanna try to look over my shoulder. I feel like if you're really tired, this is a hard one. I always do that. Yeah. Again, I'll do the other side. So just cross one leg over the top, and then your opposite arm, tricep to that thigh. And then I'm pushing with my tricep to rotate. And I feel this all the way from my lower back all the way up into my mid back. So great spinal rotation stretch. It's a wall. And those feel okay or in like a door jamb, but I like this one the most because I think gravity is doing the work instead of me having to press into like a wall or something. So look, I'm kind of in this like T shape. My elbow is in line with my shoulder. Very important, because I'm just misaligning everything if my elbow's above my shoulder or my elbow's below my shoulder. You still might feel some kind of a stretch, and it doesn't have to be perfect. A little above or a little below, you'll still feel the stretch, that's fine, but think elbow in line with shoulder, okay? So then my opposite hand is just gonna go into like a push-up position, and I'm gonna take that same side hand that's in the push-up position, that leg, and just cross it over. So what I'm doing is like creating a stretch in this part of my chest of that arm that's on the ground, the hand and elbow that's on the ground. So I'm pressing away, and I'm like reaching with this opposite leg, and then I'll just rest my head because I feel a really good chest stretch, and I'm getting some rotator cuff muscles stretched out, so I feel it through my shoulder as well. But just stay here and breathe. Again, let gravity do the work. That's why I like this one. I'm kind of pressing into the ground like I'm doing a one-arm push-up here, and that's creating more tension. And again, you can kind of come out of it and play with the angle if you feel like you can get more stretch out of it. Again, a little, just gonna reach out here. So then what I do, and I'm reaching with my fingertips without coming up off my heels, keep my butt on my heels or close to them. So I already feel a stretch in my lats right now. But then what I'm gonna do is crawl to one side until I feel an increased stretch on this side, okay? And then once I feel that increased stretch, I'm gonna get my hips up off my heels and like lean into this side of the shoulder as I continue reaching. And I feel my whole lat, like from my upper tricep all the way through my shoulder complex and down into my lower ribs, my lat getting stretched out. So kind of applying pressure toward that shoulder and just stay there. And again, minimum 30-second hold. So when I come out of this, away from my hands, so I'm like leaning back, and what I'll do is lean into this side of the side I'm grabbing, and then kind of arch up my mid back, and I really feel that stretch through here. So if you don't want to be on the ground, or you didn't really feel a good stretch in that variation, the standing lat stretch is really good. But again, I'll push my hips away, I'll lean into that shoulder of the hand that's holding and I'm just gonna pull here. And you can play with the chin, so the angle of the chin, it doesn't have to be completely lateral. So, but just kind of slowly move, and I'm applying pressure with my hand to pull my head. And I'm feeling this way down in like my mid traps. So this is just a good overall neck stretch. It will help keep your shoulders loose, keep your neck loose. And I'm feeling this all through my levator scapula, my traps, because I'm kind of reaching down with my non-action arm, right? So I'm getting a really good neck stretch here. You know, you can even come back a little and get your sternocleidomastoid if the front of your neck's It's feeling really tight. Super simple stretch. Again, I'm just gonna grab the opposite side of my head,